Oh, hey, Alice. Fancy seeing you here. You walked in at the perfect time. We have Courtney Nicole, Shrieking Violet, as usual. And we have Ryan Perich out of Atlanta, Georgia. Filmmaker, actor, musician, other things. A guy. He's also a human being among those.
It's true. That's debatable.
That is, well, you know, yeah, we'll see. We'll run you through the reptile test to make sure. There's a litmus test to see if you're really human. Yeah, we'll get to that later.
I would like to find out.
My first question is like, what don't you do?
I hate that question. I'm better. I always get asked that for some reason. I don't know why, and I don't know how to answer it. And it sounds so obnoxious.
Well, we established that you don't do heroin, which was a thing your character did in your short film Synthetic Phoenix, available on YouTube. Yeah, but we established you don't do that. You also don't murder people, at least that's what you claim.
As far as you know. Yep. Yes.
That's the stance you're taking anyway.
I have not.
Cool. So what do you think is ultimately like the biggest threat to humanity?
Biggest threat?
Right in.
Well, you never know. Asteroid might come in at some point, just wipe us all out in a second. That's fine, I guess. You never know when that'll happen. NASA might not let us know.
True.
I don't know. Like I would prefer that.
That one film.
Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up.
Yeah. Relation to that, climate change, I suppose. Is it? Yeah. Humanity as a whole. Yeah, probably climate change might be a big one.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know.
So, what got you into filmmaking?
Well, it was. I really needed to do something before the humanity ended. Yeah. True. I needed to do something.
That's a thing. Urgency. Yeah. You got to be hungry.
Exactly. So, it was roughly around middle school years. I just got inspired by Smosh and Balloon Shop and all those people. Niga Higa. What's the other guy's name? It's the
Sweat Variety Shop.
It's like Corridor Digital, but it was before they were Corridor Digital. He was just a cool action guy. He made really awesome action videos all the time. So we always wanted to do that, me and my friends, and we ended up making little skits, mostly skits, not action related for the most part at the beginning. And it was just for fun. I didn't know what I really wanted to do with my life. I thought I wanted to be a Marine. Then I thought I wanted to be a cop. Then I thought I wanted to be like an animal rescuer, whatever that means. I wanted to be an artist. I like drawing a lot, but mostly just doodled on the desks at school. But eventually I kind of took a hiatus on filmmaking for a while, if you want to call it that, in my middle school years. But then junior year in high school, it just came back because I met a new guy. His name's Chance. He's in all my films essentially, and he's the one that inspired or showed me Balloon Shop, and I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. I got super inspired once again. I was like, we got to do something like that. So I got all my buddies together, and we just made skits back to back because it was just fun. It was just fun.
Right.
And then this little movie called The Purge came out, and we made a fan film for it. And it was like the first time we ever took things seriously, and we loved it because we really actually put effort into the writing. Like we were like, okay, if it's gonna be a drama, if it's gonna be whatever, we're gonna put effort into this. Our little junior high school selves, we thought we were doing something really special, and it got a lot of views. We got a lot of positive feedback from total strangers all over the web. And I want to say it's like one of my most viewed videos because of the correlation with or affiliation with The Purge.
Smart move.
Which, helps. But it positive feedback nonetheless. 17, 16-year-old boy is going to take that and run with it. And so we did that more often. We started doing more serious stuff.
It's a story from there. Yeah,
you're right.
There's an idiom I'm looking for, that wasn't it, but yeah.
And we just kept doing that. We kept doing more and more of that. Not fan films, but just our own take on just serious, cinema, I suppose. And me specifically, I guess. Chance was into it a lot as well. We both went to college for it, but I really wanted to do that. I said, screw being a cop, screw being a Marine. I want to do this. And that's how it's been.
Right on. Is what is your favorite part of the process? Are you more do you are you most engaged with like the screenplay aspect or like the direction of cinematography or like acting? What's your favorite portion of it?
If it's a comedy, and I have all my friends around, I'm gonna love just performing those skits with the comedic aspect. But whether we're improvising or not, it's just the most fun I've ever had. Just joking, right? You're just hanging with your friends and saying the most stupid, wildest things just to have a gag.
That's what we're
And
doing right now.
right, yeah, it's always fun to do that, and we did it to make content. And with that positive feedback, we just we didn't have really that large of a demographic. It was mostly just the people that we went to school with. But like, hey, those people who I'd never talked to before, they would come up to us and be like, I really like that video or whatever. There was like a talent show at one point that I got to make a film for. All of us, we had like 15 probably plus people just be included in like a anthology kind of mini skit series, all in one film. And I don't remember how long it was, but we got to show it to the class, or not the class, but the whole student body.
Was that the one about leaving town?
No, this was it's actually not on my channel, the original like 98 channel. It's on the daily channel, I think.
Okay.
I might be wrong, actually, to be honest. But it's it was just like, I want to say, yeah, it was junior year in high school, and it's just a bunch of skits. And having the entire student body experience that in like live in at the same moment. It's just the most exhilarating, like uplifting thing in the world. They all laughed, they loved it. It was violent as hell, and it shouldn't have been showcased in a school environment, but those kids, they loved it, and I loved it, and I loved the attention.
Nice.
It was awesome. And so that really, I think that might have been one of the most cementing moments.
Right on.
But that's just the comedic value. To answer your question, I really enjoy just the pre-production side of things. I like writing only because in my head it's not being made. It's all in my head and looks so fucking cool. And I have the shots in mind when I'm writing certain scenes. Sometimes a film grows from a single scene that I have in my head that I just say, I want to shoot this so badly. And I use that scene and I build it from there, front and back, whether it's the opening, the beginning, or the middle. Opening or ending, or the middle. It'll build from there. And I really enjoy just pre-visualizing.
So that's very interesting. So you have literally a vision of like an image or like a scene happening, and you construct it out of that. Okay, that's very interesting.
With Synthetic Phoenix, it was more of a theme. I think I started with the opening scene, the whole shootout, but the entire theme of just wanting to make this super meta commentary on just art and passion.
And that's like you're also working on a novel, so like which I'm also working on a novel. So I was just like, I guess the crossover, like there's crossover with those two things, writing a screenplay, writing a novel, but like it's also, I wonder, do you approach it from like when you're writing a book, do you approach it from the same kind of like, do you have an image of kind of like a scene and then you construct the story around it that way? Or do you kind of have, well,
that one's tough. There's such different mediums. When I'm writing for a film, a script, a screenplay, I do have like these ambitious ideas and visions, but I have to do what I'm capable of. I don't have a budget. Nothing I've ever shot had a budget, at least over $100. Like all I did was pay for like the cop uniforms and stuff like that. Everything else.
It's the quality is very, like, that's insane that you did that on that.
Yeah. Well, we got to use school equipment,
Okay, yeah.
So it wasn't
that helps a little bit.
Yeah, it does. But again, we were the most well endowed school. It was an auxiliary campus, actually.
Like you guys had the biggest dicks out of
yeah, it was pretty cool. We measured them all the time.
Had competitions with other schools to make sure that you had the
exactly. Yeah. But yes, shit, what were we talking about?
I'm sorry. You're well endowed at school.
We were well, yeah. And I got to use what we had. It wasn't a lot, but it made do. I mean, it made the film that you saw. if you thought it looked that good, then that makes me feel really good. But
oh my God, it's amazing.
Film fucked.
it fucks. With our well endowed cocks. And we I forgot where the question originated from, but
we were talking about like you were talking about a screenplay. It might come from
what I'm
yeah.
capable of, yeah. And so for a novel aspect, I mean, I can do whatever I want.
Sure.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
The tough part is just making sure what I'm writing is like good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do people want to read this? It takes so much more of an attention span to read a freaking novel than it does to watch a 20-minute film.
Yep.
So I have to go in through it to make sure that I'm always retaining attention page by page. But in order to answer your question to how I tackle it, it depends. What I've been doing a lot recently is like I have a general idea of what I want, the story from start to end, and I establish some characters and I establish some plot points, and that's all I have. And I think this would be really cool to read. I think this would be really cool if it was turned into a film, but with a higher budget, of course. And then I just kind of, again, I think this is my favorite part about writing novels is just the brainstorming session of it.
Yeah.
Just coming up with the ideas. I love coming up with ideas and throwing it out there and just seeing if it sticks or not. And if I think it sticks, I might keep it. I might use it at some point. It's all part of the timeline that I have written out. But yeah, I think it's very similar. It's just one, I have free reign. The other, I only
a lot of constraints. Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of like, if you have a visual language, you know, I want to be an auteur. I'm not there yet. I don't have enough prowess to really like establish like, hey, that if you see that, that's me.
And you know, like it's interesting too, because it's just a different beast. One's not necessarily easier than the other, is what it sounds like. Because yes, one has constraints, but that's where a lot of imagination can actually thrive, is from limitation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas if you have just literally a blank page, it's like you can sometimes like get overwhelmed with the possibilities.
It's just, man, being a novelist is just not the same at all, because it's just words. It's just words. And if I can elicit an image in people's heads and that alone keeps them entertained or engaged, that's fine. But with film, there's so many other things that can keep people engaged. Like the cinematography could suck. There's found footage films, you know, and people love them. They're super profitable. But because so many other things are keeping it up and standing for people to love, then, you know, you have that to rely on. You can't have your sound to suck. The sound has to be good.
Oh yeah,
100%. That's 70%. That's what they say. Film is 70% sound.
That's so funny, because it's probably the last thing people think about when they're watching, unless it's shit.
Right.
And then that sticks it out. Then it sticks out, and you're like, what is the sound design?
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bitch that like, if you're doing your job correctly and you're killing it, nobody's going to notice or praise something that you put so much effort and energy into. But if you're just a little bit off, that's all anybody's going to see.
True. I think the most unsung heroes in the cinema world are like the editors. They're supposed to be silent. They're supposed to be visible. Maybe costume design. I don't know. There's other people out there. Soundtrack though, there's a lot of films out there. I'm like, yo, that soundtrack slap. I loved the sound. I'll watch a movie over and over again just for the soundtrack.
What's your favorite movie soundtrack?
Probably Her. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
It's by Arcade Fire. And
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Her with Joaquin Phoenix. Scarlett.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
I think there's so many others. Everything Everywhere All at Once was a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
What's that?
Is that the one where Scarlett Johansson is an alien?
She's an AI.
An AI. Okay.
She's basically Siri.
Yeah, she's Siri.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Ari Aster last night a little bit. I'm a huge fan. And obviously you are too. Who's your favorite director?
It fluctuates.
Okay, give me like a top three.
Top three.
Is Charlie in there?
Kaufman. He's more of I love his screenwriting, but his direction is phenomenal as well. I mean, Synecdoche, New York is one of my top movies of all time. I'm Thinking of Ending Things was great, super great. Anomaly. So all the things that he's directed are phenomenal. The things he's written are phenomenal. He's written everything he's directed.
I didn't like Anomaly so that much.
I just connected with it for some reason. I don't know why. And they're all puppets. But I want to say it used to be Derek. I don't remember how to pronounce his last name, like Claire in France or something like that. He did Blue Valentine. He did Place Beyond the Pines. He did The Light Between Oceans, which I didn't like.
I don't think I've seen any of those.
The first two, must watch. They're
Okay.
so good. I love them so much.
We're gonna
again.
I've got stoner memory, so we're gonna have to like swap movie recommendations back and forth.
Okay.
So I can remember this. But go on. Yeah.
He recently did. Well, I don't know, like the past 2 or 3 years. He did a show on HBO called This Much I Know Is True, and I thought that was really phenomenal. I was like, finally, he's back. I want him to keep doing stuff. I just didn't like The Light Between Oceans too much. Something about it just did not feel like the rest of his repertoire. But Derek, Claire in France, however you pronounce it, David Fincher, mostly only for Fight Club. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. You give that man a script, he'll make it phenomenal. What else? Yeah, what else has he done? He did Zodiac. He did the show called Mindhunters, or Mindhunter. He what hasn't he done? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version.
Cool.
Right
on.
He's done a lot, and I can't like think of it on the spot.
You into foreign film at all?
Yeah, actually, Xavier Dolan is one of my favorites. He did Tom at the Farm, but one of my favorite movies again is of all time is called Mommy, and it's this French Canadian film that changed the way I ever like viewed cinema in general. It's one of those movies that just affected me so strongly and more than just like, oh wow, I love that story. It was like, oh wow, movies can look like this.
Yeah.
They can be this. And I've changed ever since. And Synecdoche, New York is another one. Charlie Kaufman's a phenomenal guy.
That
Love his
fucking
stuff.
monologue during the funeral scene.
So good. So good. And it's like you can consider it like self-indulgent, like this just goes on and it's like, oh, it's being artsy. But like some people like me, I eat that shit up. I love it. I love directors when they're being self-indulgent. Like be yourself, be what you want, and like write what you want to see. You know,
that's what you're there to do.
I hate people who are like, oh, he's just pretentious or whatever. It's like, shut up. It's a movie. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You know, and you don't have to judge it just because you thought some dude who has a budget making a passionate film that didn't cater to your.
Yeah, that's the thing about like a lot of things is like, oh, you don't like it? Well, I mean, you cannot watch it.
There's always that.
You could just not watch it.
Right?
But so many people just want to be like, oh, you like that? That's such a pretentious movie.
Yeah.
I guess I get a lot of hate, or I give a lot of hate to that sentiment because I've been told the same thing, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. I made a movie because I wanted to, not because I wanted to like be viewed on a higher plane than
I feel like
else.
it's a statement kind of about culture where it's like it reminds me kind of like the stereotypical bully on the playground. It's like, what, you read books, nerd? It's like you like substance to stuff, whatever, nerd. You idiot. You should just play Soul Calibur. I don't know. I love Soul Calibur. I don't know why I'm riffing on Soul Calibur. But like yeah, but it's like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, oh, you like stuff that makes you think? Like, I just like mindless garbage.
Right, yeah. Marvel, Disney, nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always there's positive things about everything. You know, there's no
true. There's a place for mindless
objectively
entertainment.
right. Yeah, that's fine because I mean escapism is such an important thing.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean that could be detrimental if you like only dwell in it.
Let me tell you, against my will, David has gotten me into watching Hell's Kitchen. And I resent it because I've never been so fucking engaged to a program in my whole life, and I'm not like I don't want to be, but like there's something about it that is like I cannot stop watching it.
Yeah,
we all love a train wreck.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Hell's Kitchen?
I've only seen the clips, you know, the things that didn't need.
Don't ever watch it, okay? Because like
I'll get consumed.
Save yourself.
There's like 19 fucking seasons of it. Don't approach it.
I'll try my best.
Yeah, stick to clips on YouTube.
I'll try
Just
my best.
watch compilations. Save yourself. That's too late for me.
I mean, most things, reality TV, I avoid like the plague. But I actually was showing Courtney here of Love on the Spectrum.
Oh yeah,
I love Love on the
I
Spectrum
haven't seen it.
so much. I
Not the
don't know
US
why.
one.
Well, both.
Both
I
of them?
showed you only the British,
Was it
Australian.
Australia? We don't know.
I
We don't know.
forget.
We're American.
But there is a US version as well, and I love them all. They're so good. The thing about reality TV is just it just turns me off so easily because of how unauthentic it feels.
I think part of what engages me so much about it is how it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's like people watch this, and it's like I'm just like, anyway.
Put this down.
Yeah, sometimes you'll start a reality TV show like ironically, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they got me.
They got me. This is why people watch it.
This is so dumb. I can't believe we're watching this, guys. Wait.
It's kind of like
this.
it's kind of like if there was a
Can't
drug. It's kind of like if there was a drug, and I like it's like, okay, new drug no one's ever heard of, and I come to you guys, and I'm like, guys, you've got to try this. And it's like, really, like, what is it?
I know, it sounds dangerous.
No, dude, it's like so amazing. It it's the most amazing thing you could ever imagine. Like, I'm gonna talk this up as much as I can. And it's like, then you take it, and it's like, all that happens is it's like reprograms you, and it's like your sole purpose is now to spread this drug.
Yeah,
That's what Hell's Kitchen's like.
that's a good concept.
It's a
Actually,
virus.
for like a short film.
It exists in reality. It's called Hell's Kitchen.
Art
But-
imitates life.
But enough about that. Do you have any ghost stories?
Ghost? No, I don't. I really don't. The closest thing I have to one is, once upon a time I went to Gettysburg, the battlefield, and there was a bed and breakfast that used to be a field hospital. I went there. My biological father, I went with him and his wife, and I stayed in one room, they stayed in the other. But like as I was just kind of reading a book or on my phone or something like that in my room, it was like we were going to bed. He takes a photo and he looks at the camera and he's like, "Oh my God. So what is it? What you take a picture of?" He goes, "You don't want to see this. You don't want to, you're not gonna be able to sleep at night." I said, "You gotta fucking
Now
tell
I
me.
have to,
You
yeah.
gotta tell me, bro. What is in this? What is in that photo?" He goes, "No, good night." I said, okay. I don't remember how old I was, but I left the light on and I did not sleep that night regardless. And we do the whole thing. We're rummaging through the battlefield. We're going this way, that way, with like phone apps of hunting ghosts, a little sensor, a little light up screen that says, "Oh, you're close. Be careful." I don't know. And they're
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't think they have the dowsing rods or whatever they call dowel rods. I don't remember. Other things, they'll be questioning the air with the microphone. And I enjoyed it for what it was. I got to spend time with my biological father. But by the time we left, he lets me see that photo. And it was just me in the mirror. The whole time. I was freaking out because there's a reflection of me in the mirror. That's all it was.
I mean, were you really there?
Yes, I was. I think
Okay.
Do I get
It's a
see
picture of you in
myself?
the mirror, but like,
only I
But
can
you were
see
not
it.
there at that time. You've never been in that room in your life.
yeah.
No, I think
You're
I was on the
actually
bed.
dead.
Yeah.
You don't exist.
It's just another part of the litmus test.
I
gotta figure this out at some point.
used to ask people if they believed in aliens, and then like, it's really hard to meet someone that's like, yeah, the universe is infinite. How is there not some kind of life out there?
It's such an easy answer.
Yeah, it's such an easy answer. So I've changed my question now to like, do you think alien extraterrestrials have interacted with humanity?
I mean, if they have, we don't know. I don't think there's any secrets,
Hmm.
being kept from us.
About aliens?
About aliens.
Okay.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of other things
Right.
that probably we don't know about, more than likely.
Tom DeLong, if you want to dispute this, you're welcome to come on the podcast.
Tom DeLong, welcome to come on the podcast. Yeah.
But I feel like it's such a monumental thing for extraterrestrial contact that either there's no way they could hide. Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
If they were to interact with us, it's not like it would be this one-off little vision that, you know, the people say, oh, I saw it, oh, I got abducted myself. Like, it wouldn't be this secret thing, this tucked in a hole in the wall in the middle of nowhere. And of course, of all places, America seems to be a cesspool of that conspiracy. But anyway, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
If they were to interact with us, we would all know, probably all at once.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. Most important question: when is the last time you cried, and why?
I think it was recent, like within this year.
You mean you don't cry? You haven't cried multiple times this year?
Maybe twice, maybe twice. It's relationship related. It's just like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna find love.
Oh, okay. So not something specific, just the idea of like.
Well, yeah, because there was a point in time where I was with somebody and I left. I said goodbye, and I realized, like, I don't feel how I should feel about this person, and I feel like this is a horrible cycle that I experience a lot. And it's just like, hey, is this gonna happen forever?
What is the cycle?
It's just like, hey, I really like this person. Hey, I really want to be with this person for a long time, probably forever. And then something, just for no reason at all, regardless of like how much I love spending time with this person.
They leave the ketchup the wrong way.
Yeah, that's
the
it.
fridge.
Boom, done. I hate this person. I don't ever want to speak to them again. Now something happens. And
That's
it just
reasonable.
clicks. Yeah.
That's totally reasonable.
and then I just, I find myself in this slump, and I don't usually cry about that. I really don't. But for some reason this year I did. Don't know why. I couldn't really tell you. It was like one of those, like,
You're getting old.
maybe I am not impulsive. I'm very emotionally stable. Like, I don't have like these bouts of.
You wouldn't know that from your films.
maybe I'm good at channeling it. Let's say that. But that moment in time in my life, I couldn't hold it in for some reason. I was alone. I was in a car.
That's interesting because we all have these like these internal battles that we're fighting.
Mhm.
And like, I don't know, like, we're all aware of our own internal battles, but like, until we talk about it, we're not aware of what each other are really going through. We can't read each other's minds.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of dialogue is important, especially with the people you're like closest to.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we all do here. You artists, that's what we try to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what art is, really.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just trying to tell our
Talking
story,
about the hard things.
more or less. I mean, for me, it is a lot of channeling. It is a lot of, it's a very positive form of me coping with whatever I'm going through. And maybe that's why I'm stable, who knows? But I just, if I have something going on and it's very emotional and it's very vibrant, I got to write it down. And if I do something with it, awesome. If I don't, hey, I wrote it down. It's good. It's there.
Yeah. No harm done.
Right. But these stories, these feelings, emotions, whatever, if I were to turn it into a piece of art, now it's the world's. It's theirs. I've spread my message, and maybe someone doesn't feel so alone anymore.
Yeah, if it touches one person, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel
really
like
is.
that's the crazy thing about both, like, just communicating with other humans and also creating art, because those are both the same pathways to get to the same point. It's equal parts. I'm trying to express this and share this and be vulnerable and be understood, but also I'm trying to understand, because whether you're writing a song or a novel or creating a film or just having a conversation with somebody, it's like, as you work through something and as you get it out, you come to find new ways to express it yourself, and you're like, oh, that is what I feel.
It expands your communicative, verbosity or whatever. You're able to actually explain yourself and not feel inept.
It's like I'm explaining myself to you, but I'm also explaining myself to me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's what I meant.
Right. And that is very important, to be able to communicate, to express yourself in a cohesive way for other people to understand. Like, if you're saying shit that doesn't make any sense to anybody.
I mean, why use a lot of words unless you trick?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So as long as the word gets across, but it is important to constantly, I guess, just keep it up, keep doing it, practice it, makes perfect, and you will be able to
Any-
express yourself well.
Anytime you practice something, you get a little better at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever created something, whether it was music or a piece of writing or film, where you were like, man, I love this, but I cannot release this. I can't show it to anybody.
Yeah, there's 2 films. Is it 2 or is it just 1? There's at least 1, but that's not the reason why. Like I can't show this to anybody. It's more of just I didn't feel like it. I've created a few things, mostly school projects. You know, it's just for that. It was for the assignment. I'm not gonna do anything else with it. I did the assignment. I got the grade, and that's it. Outside of school, where it was just my own volition, I wanted to do this. I mean, like asking me right now, I don't know. I don't think so. But if I thought about it, maybe. I don't think that.
I'll let you know, Alice.
I just noticed your hat says "I love hentai." Is that true?
Mhm.
Nice.
What's your
100%.
favorite hentai?
I don't have. Well, I don't love it that
Boku no
much.
Pico?
I don't know. I don't remember anything.
Oh, that's Don't look that up, Alice.
Wait, what? it
Forget
again.
it.
Say it again.
Say it
Because I
again.
might.
These are not the droids you're looking for. Anyway, have you ever shit yourself unexpectedly in public?
Close. Not in public though. Not in public. I went to Mount Fuji one day, and we were with it was me and my 2
hometown
roommates.
Had an avalanche.
Oh my god, it was bad. This is a story. More or less. We were at Mount Fuji. We just finished eating. They were paying the bill, whatever. And I felt it. I was like, I gotta go.
There's
But
a storm coming.
I could hold it in. I can hold this in for a little bit. I know we're gonna go somewhere soon, and it's not that far away. That's what I was told. It wasn't that far away.
Lies and slander.
And so, but I had that confidence, right? I felt this before. I've been able to hold it in before. I'm good. So
I know these bowels.
And so I get into the car.
No one knows these pals better than me.
I thought I knew. So we get into the car. We're driving. We're just going to someone's house to pick up the dog, and then we're gonna go all the way back to Georgia. But that drive to that house to pick up the dog, I don't know. They tell me it was like a 15, 20-minute drive. It felt like an eternity. I want to say like 5 minutes on the road. I was like, oh shit.
Literally.
Shit.
Yeah, and but at the same time, I was like, I got it. I wasn't gonna say anything yet. I was like, we're so close. It's 10 minutes. I got this. 3 minutes later, 8 minutes in, probably maybe 10. I was like, oh fuck, oh no, this isn't it. I don't got this. So I tell the driver, my roommate, I'm like, speed the fuck up, bro. Speed up. And he's like, what are you talking about? These are windy back roads. I can't. I'm like, I don't fucking care. You gotta fucking drive. You gotta speed. I don't care if you have to drift, man. I need you to gun it. And he's like, okay. And he went an extra 5 miles an hour or something like that. I'm punching the back of the seat. And I'm like kicking, I'm screaming, I'm clawing my clothes, I'm crying, I'm choking, I'm pissing and shitting. And I feel like I'm fighting my hardest battle I've ever fought in my entire life. I tell him, bro, you gotta stop the car. You have to stop this car now. He says,
it's so slow.
he's like, oh, there's nowhere to stop. I'll fucking find a place and stop this fucking car. And he did. Eventually, like, found this shoulder or whatever. He just drove into the woods. I yanked the car door out open. I just sped into the woods, and I just ran. I ran to my heart's content, thinking like, okay, this is a good spot. This is a good shit spot. And I unloaded, man. And I saw God. I saw God in the middle of the woods. And I found out that as I'm looking around, right? Because like at those first like few moments when you're just unloading in the woods, you just think to yourself like, that this could have been worse. I didn't shit in my pants. I was close. I was so fucking close. And it would have been all over the back seat too. But I managed to do it in the woods and safely, not on my shoes either. And I was very surprised about that. I was double, triple checking to see if there was any like splatter or anything. No, it was good. I was clean. I was really fucking good at that. But I looked up
My man.
and there was like a bus in the middle of the woods. I'm like, why is there a, and it's dark, right? I don't really know what I'm looking at, but it looks like the,
It's night out.
yeah,
Okay.
it's super dark. Yeah,
Okay.
super dark. But the moonlight shining through the branches of the trees, and I see this bus, and I'm like, what? I look to my right. There's a house right there. Just a house. I was like, oh no.
Nice.
I hope they
Like
don't-
Hello,
how far are we talking as the house?
It's about 20-ish yards, maybe 10.
The
belongs
only
to a
reason you
witch.
didn't notice it is because you had other things on your mind at the time.
No, it
Otherwise, you
wasn't
would have
there
noticed
before.
it.
It was
Oh,
hiding.
it
It was
okay,
close.
gotcha. Teleport.
tunnel vision, man. I did not see anything, but this is where I'm gonna shit. This is
So
it.
you accidentally wandered into Silent Hill is what happened.
Probably, yeah. And I got away with it too.
It wasn't for those meddling kids.
And yeah, I left and I was like thinking, I just kept imagining like, what are these people gonna think when they see this huge pile that a dinosaur probably could have dropped in the middle of the woods, right by their little driveway, their like gravel or dirt driveway, just right there, just like, what was that?
They're gonna
Bigfoot is real.
I was just about to say, they're gonna say, not
Bears.
again. Darlene, get my shotgun.
That's where
he's back.
conspiracy-
He's back.
Yes. And that's my story.
I'm so mad at you now.
Man. So what do you
Because
think?
that was such a funny story. Now he's gonna ask everybody, "Have you ever shit yourself?"
Oh, I was
That's
just
not my
thinking that.
brain. I know. I'm like, damn it, Ryan.
Not
I
your
was
brand.
like, I had no idea this was gonna be. This
I
was such a
know.
good question. I
No,
was
it's a
gonna get
regular
such a good
question.
story.
You've ruined us.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I would. So like
You're
you
welcome.
you painted that picture so beautifully. Like I want to see a film reenactment of this
I'll think
because
about it.
Maybe
gonna make a
a,
song.
maybe a
'Cause you
weekly
gave-
show. Shit yourself with Ryan.
Yeah,
like we watched one of your films before we started filming.
Mhm.
And you're a very, very good actor. But I gotta say, this is one of your best performances.
Oh, just then.
Yeah, just then.
Thank you.
That shit
Um,
right now where you saw God.
That's because it wasn't acting. You were just having Vietnam flashbacks.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what happened?
I'm actually like, I'm really,
Really
holding in
traumatized.
my tremors right now.
Shaking.
Yeah,
You better
I
hold it in.
Please,
Thank God.
please don't shoot yourself.
We can't afford a new couch. We're on a low budget.
told you how
Yeah.
good I was holding it in before. And it's not much of a good word. So.
So what do you think happens after we die?
It's a good question. I don't know exactly,
Well,
but
none
I have
of
a
us
lot
do.
of theories.
Same.
I have a lot of theories. I don't believe in heaven, anything like that. Anything that man has manifested is not. It's not it.
You're
my-
like, everybody else's ideas are wrong.
Yeah, mine, the ones I manifest though.
no. I just think like organized religion in general is like, it's just.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna call it a sham. It's just not it.
it's a business.
Yeah. I mean, there are benefits. I'm not dunking on religion here. There are benefits, and
Huge with
there's a lot of good benefits. and anything that has to do with the afterlife in these religions really is all I'm talking about. The afterlife.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
morals, keep them. They're good. Whatever.
totally agree with you.
The afterlife though, like no, that's just not it. DMT trips are the same thing. It's just like it's your brain, bro. It's romantic. That's all it is. It's not real.
Yeah,
What could be real,
it certainly could be, but it certainly absolutely could be what you're saying.
what I'm gonna say, yeah, because I know I'm right. No, what could be real? What could be real is who knows? It could be a plethora of things. I really like the movie. Have you ever seen the movie Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal?
I haven't.
I forget who else is
I
in
don't
it.
think so.
And I don't know who directed it. I'm gonna spoil it for you. It is about this guy who was like in an accident, right? He's like a military guy. He got blown to bits, and you don't realize that he's like just a torso and a head, essentially. And they're keeping him alive, and he's going through these simulations of this event so he can like solve a crime or something like that. And in the midst of him solving this crime, he actually falls in love with this woman inside the simulation, and the movie's over, or at the end of the film, he falls in love with the girl. They pull the plug on him,
Mhm.
but when they pull the plug, because they're done with him, right? And it's keeping him alive, doesn't really mean anything. When they pull the plug, it like pauses for a little bit, like a freeze frame, and then it continues. So from his mindset, this simulation became reality. And that forever in his mind was his infinite, like the rest of his life.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
And-
So it's basically saying whatever you perceive is your afterlife, something like that?
Yeah, essentially. Well, I took that concept and I kind of expanded it just a smidge. And I don't know if this is an original idea. To me, it felt original. I've never read this before, but I think maybe this might be a thing that people believe or theorized. That once you die, that white light that you see is DMT or whatever dripping into your consciousness, and it's just an infinite white space. And you're alive. Well, you're conscious. You're aware. You're alive. For all you know, and this infinite white space becomes this sandbox, and you become God. Essentially, you can it's like an infinite dream that you're aware of, and you can have total control over.
There's actually a Shinto concept that reminds me of called Musubi. And it's like basically everyone gets their own isolated universe where they have complete control over.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, like a lot of people think that like heaven, when you die in the Christian belief, whatever denomination it is, I don't know. When you die, you get your own personal heaven. It's not like a heaven where you go through the golden gates and hey, there's everybody, there's all my friends.
It would kind of have to be.
That makes
in order to
sense,
be
yeah,
heaven.
because like there's no utopia that is just
Works for everyone.
a general consensus.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a personal heaven. It's a personal.
That's that. It would have to be that way. It
Dreams.
seems.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen What Dreams May Come or read the book?
With Robin? No, I haven't.
With Robin Williams?
Mhm.
Yeah. You said you haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
Man, it also is just the whole thing's about the afterlife.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
but no, you're good. I think none of us know, but that I think everyone's got their own ideas and intuitions about it, which is it's fun to kind of wax philosophy about it.
It's always fun. The thing is, like, if you were to believe the other thing, which is nothing happens, it's literally you can't conceive that. You cannot conceive nothing. It's not black. It's not. If it's black, then you're aware that it's black. If you're aware, then there's something going on. It's not nothing.
Can you not conceive nothing though?
You can't.
Have you ever woken up and just been like, I don't know if I dreamed? Is
So
that not conceiving nothing?
so
If
we can do
not recall a single dream, like you were gone. Maybe you're not cognizant or aware of it, but like you were perceiving nothing.
Well, we
and
can-
you recall nothing of
we
perceiving.
can do
nothing.
it to degrees and
You're
layers.
perceiving that lapse, but you're not perceiving you consciously aware of that lapse.
Right,
So-
but I'm saying that lapse occurs,
So
and
we-
therefore it is possible, and we've failed to experience it.
That's true. Yeah, like maybe if it was infinite,
Maybe it's like an
there
infinite
is
sleep
something
with
there.
no dream.
Right. There's something there in that lapse, but it only is a lapse because you woke back up.
Okay, so you're telling me if you cut down a tree in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, it didn't fall?
Maybe.
Because I think it did.
I'm thinking. Well, I have a thought about that. Not just the dreams, but also like when you get laughing gas, if you were to get a surgery or whatever, tooth, whatever it is, you get put on the gas and boom, blip, you're awake. You didn't. You kind of remember. You
That
kind of remember waking up.
anesthesia be like that.
Yeah.
You're what? I've been out for hours.
Right. Right.
You're like, oh shit, this needle, and
There's
you're
no
like,
dream.
oh hello world.
Yeah.
There's no awareness.
Yeah.
So imagine that blip, but forever. It's
Mhm.
not, you can't conceive it. So if there is a blip, and it's only there at all because you wake up, maybe if it was infinite, there is something there.
So I think
But
also
we will never know
this
until we
is-
die.
this is just kind of
And then
semantics,
we
and
won't
it's
even
not.
know because it's just a blip we'll never perceive.
Possibly. Yeah.
No one will ever know how many
Exactly.
leaps it takes.
This
Get
point's
you
kind of
some information.
semantical, and it kind of doesn't really help add anything to the conversation. But I was just gonna say, we can at least, beyond what you're saying, we can at least philosophically conceptualize nothing, because we're doing it like right now.
Philosophically. yeah.
So there's degrees to understanding, I think. To say something. I mean, so like, okay, so knowledge itself, like the concept of knowledge is really interesting, right? Because what do we know? I'm kind of skeptical even about Socrates. I think therefore I am. I kind of feel like that's kind of a nonsense statement. Like, what does that mean?
What is I am?
Yeah, what
am I?
What, yeah.
There's a whole like philosophy based upon I am and the powers of those words. It's almost a religion. I am that I am. Some people say that it's the name of God.
And I think it's good to operate under that. However, I also think it's an assumption to say that's knowledge is, in the context he's trying to establish an absolute truth. Like, I think therefore I am. I know this to be true. I think that's an assumption, because what are you saying? Your consciousness, maybe you're not alive. Maybe you is not a thing.
Maybe every existence is subjective.
Yeah.
The thing that you were just saying, like being God, it's like, yeah, maybe I'm the only one alive and everything else is just my perception.
And I'm
I guess
narcissistic.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
A lot of people do this. And what's funny is, like, you'll tell somebody that and they'll be like, holy shit, I thought I was the only one who thought that.
It is true. It's so weird to sit back and realize that, and even though you're not an asshole and you know this is the truth inherently, but to sit there and have that realization that everybody else is going through life the same way that you are, like with their own experiences, being the main character of their own story, right. And just kind of like namaste, that oneness, that like we're all just individual beings living out our own experiences, and like you feel things the same as I do, and you think it's basic empathy, but at the same time, when you really think about it, it kind of like rocks your consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, there's also simulation theory in general, like am I just ones and zeros in this grand
binary
simulations, whatever? There's so many things.
Personally, I'm convinced that when we talk about real and imaginary, that's language failing us. I think really when we talk about imaginary friends and gods and these things that we conceive of, I think they exist. You can say they exist in the mind, obviously, right? But yeah. I guess what I'm saying is I don't really know exactly how to put that into words, but I guess what I'm saying is there's something more to that.
No, I agree with you. I've never thought about it, but a more accurate terminology than real and imaginary would be concrete and abstract.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and none of those are necessarily imaginary or unreal. It's just like, can I touch this? Can I feel it? Can I perceive it?
What's
and measure it,
or and what's not observable?
Because there's plenty of things that you can't measure, you can't perceive, you can't see or touch, but we know that they exist because we felt it.
We could imagine imagination and thought as a dimension, as a realm that we kind of all interact with, right? It's like, so you actually, in your film Synthetic Phoenix, you touch on a lot of really metaphysical
those fucking monologues,
meta topics about about the universe, really, and about existence.
That art.
Go watch it, Alice.
We'll plug it down below because it's confusing. Flying Noodles, and then you've got music.
Mom's Workout Sesh on Bandcamp, and Ryo Perry on SoundCloud.
Yeah, links below. Cool. We're talking about
Synthetic Phoenix, the universe.
Yeah. Concrete, abstract.
What did I tackle in the movie?
What didn't you tackle, buddy?
Well,
murder, drugs, existence, art.
I like transgressive media.
Cheating.
I can't remember why I brought it up, but I mean that fiction and reality is a topic explored.
Yeah.
And blurred lines. I think. Yeah. Oh, that's what we were talking about. Real and imaginary. I think these topics are so hard to like put into words because it's language failing. But I think the best way I can explain it really is that like you said, concrete or abstract, maybe observable, not observable. I like that too, but then you have like things like infrared, things we can't observe with our eyes.
I was gonna say the things that are concrete and abstract, both definitions get expanded as our information and our science gets
precisely. It's kind of like things are magic until we understand it. Exactly.
Yeah. So who knows, maybe one day we will advance in a way to be able to perceive things we never thought conceivable.
Yeah, I mean, technically love is considered in that list, but we can measure it. We've confirmed it, like oxytocin and dopamine. We know how to measure those, but so maybe concrete just applies to like, can I see it? Can I touch it?
Right.
I don't necessarily think this is the like best way to look at it, but I think you have actualized and you have potential. You have what exists here, like what is in this space, and then the things that aren't. But that is infinite. There, you can imagine a void where all of it infinitely exists. So that's where like we can talk more about this in depth if you want to, but I've had what I would consider interactions with spirits on many occasions.
Your own ghost stories?
He do that bad juju, so everybody come for him. He's had many visits.
What you've been working on?
Well, let me unravel this part first. So,
actually, is it cool if we like take a small break?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll be right back, Alice. No worries, bro. Thank you. Let's pause it.
I'm not gonna edit this out. Fuck him.
Please.
Buddy.
Hey, do you know roughly how long we've been going?
Does it say on here?
No. I was just wondering if you
It
knew.
fucking should.
I feel like it's been
When
about
you get enough
45.
money, we're probably
Are you
close to
guys
about it.
good with going for another maybe like 25?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Where were we? We're talking about
Concrete, abstract, imaginary and real. Right. How far past that?
Something else.
You were on to something. I'm so sorry that I interrupted.
No, you're good, bro. We're talking about.
We can just keep coming up with more
Yeah,
afterlife theories.
we'll come back.
We can come back to it if you want.
Yeah.
What's the worst and the best thing to ever happen to you in your life?
Worst and the best.
Damn.
I think that's the same answer as falling in love.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It's the best and the worst thing that could ever happen to
I
anybody.
must be emo.
Because you love it and you want to hold on to it forever because you feel like this is gonna be the rest of you.
You've got such on the fly answers that I feel like I want to like test you, like start throwing like speedball questions.
fuck
Please
them up,
do,
man.
please do. I want to get stumped. But yeah, it's just it hurts to fall out of love, to break up with someone that you're still in love with years later.
Do you have the one that got away?
Do I have the like in
Like,
my
is there
in my
like
past?
do you have somebody defined like in this present moment you're like, man, that's the one that got away?
Do you have the one that got away like in your basement? Did you finally get her?
I'm not gonna let you know that on
Check out the
camera.
next film.
The one that got away one time.
Once.
She didn't get away with her again.
Put me one, shame on you. Leave me twice. You're in my basement.
But I don't know to be yet. That's why I was crying. I don't know. Maybe I
feel
did.
that. I feel like a lot of us, we immerse ourselves in our work, and I'm just kind of projecting here, and we convince ourselves that we don't like need these things that maybe we always wanted, and we're like, maybe that's not the way to focus my life. Maybe my life should be about me, and it's fine if that doesn't happen. If it does, that's great, but like we're not going to focus on it, and we're just going to completely throw ourselves in what we do, and for the most part that's fine, but every once in a while there's that thought that creeps in, or that person that asks just a few too many questions and has a few too many suggestions, and all of a sudden you're spiraling and you're like, well, now my art is about this.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I cope. So the best and the worst thing, the best thing that came out of it was just being able to translate that into something that I became proud of. Because like, oh shit, I was able to write that. Oh, I was able to film that, or I was able to act in a way that like felt real for once. Because a lot of the times I'm in the middle of a scene, I'm like, whatever, we got the scene done. But sometimes I am able to do a scene and come away from it with just being proud, like that felt good, and I can keep doing that if I just keep harnessing, I guess, those emotions. I know it's like a double-edged sword to like retain and hold on to these resentments, these fears, and these detrimental emotions. But at the same time, as long as you're just you were just a safe surrogate to transfer those emotions onto the screen for art, whatever the case may be. I'm fine at the end of the day.
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
I'm fine.
It's
I'm not.
fine.
I'm not a potential threat to myself.
Right.
I'm good. And if I, have to drive in the middle of the night, crying, at the wheel, it's whatever. I'm not gonna impulsively do anything crazy. I'm just gonna sit with it, dwell on it, and then maybe write something eventually, and use something with those words.
Speaking of that, as somebody who lives for and through art, like, do you believe that there is a crash or a come down? I call it living between the exclamations. Like, do you feel like you're constantly chasing the moving goalpost? That you create something, you feel good, you get that high, you get that rush, and then immediately when it's over, you're not even allowed to be proud of it anymore. You don't let yourself. You're like, well, what's next?
Every film.
That's I feel like that's the way to be.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. That is
it
the
keeps
correct
you moving,
way to
but
be.
god damn.
Yeah, you can't be complacent.
No.
Can you imagine how bad it would be to be like, this is the best song I've ever made and I'm ever going to make.
That's how I always feel when I write something good. I'm like, I'll never write something that's good again.
I think that's why it's important to challenge yourself, to do things you've never done before, or do things in a way that you've never done before. Just always change things up in one way or another. I've been doing that. I made a film that's not online because I didn't like the way it turned out. Not for any specific reason other than just technical reasons. But like, I played a gay character and was making out with a dude, and that was.
Are you sure you didn't post that, or do you have that concept twice? Because there's one
There's
where you
another
guys are
one.
sitting there with the projector.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's that one.
Yeah.
I'm a gay guy in that one too.
I've seen them all.
But there's nothing like risque about it, It's just,
it's very sweet.
That was another class project where we had 3 people and in a group, me included, and we made a film, and it was 1 minute long, and I just wanted to tell a big grand story in the span of 1 minute, whatever. I didn't really have to do anything crazy with that one, but there's this other one that was called Bent, and I pushed some boundaries for myself that I never thought I'd ever do because I never thought I needed to. But it was relieving. It was fun. It was something that I came away with like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. And if I were to do it again, I can do it better. So yeah, just never stay complacent. Always challenge yourself. I know that's not a crazy thing. I'm still acting. I'm still writing the script. I'm doing everything the same way. It's just the content that I physically had to do and put forth. It was different for me.
Yeah.
Was that your first time ever making out with someone of the same sex?
No.
Okay.
No, but dare nights and drunken stupors, they get away with you, but nothing crazy ever comes about it. I just think that was a nice little, like, I was able to do that. I was really proud of that. And it felt real, it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels real. I like to be able to tell any story I want. And of course, like, me writing it is one thing, me directing is another, me acting in it is a completely different thing. It's you look at it from all 3 different perspectives.
Is all of your acting experience on camera, or do you have any theater background?
I've been in 2 plays.
Okay.
One
School
high school,
plays?
one school play. Well, I guess both school. One's high school, one in community college.
Okay.
That was it.
What were those productions?
In high school, when I was a junior, it was the play called "This Is a Test," and I felt so proud of myself. Right, like, this is my junior year. This is the height of my comedic skits and everything. Like, I felt like I was having a good time. This is my transitional period of like, this is what I want to do. And so I was really into acting. I always was proud of myself being amongst my friends, the ones who really, like, the one who put the most effort into like portraying a character. And like, if I was to go back and look at that stuff, it's not good, but I committed. I don't have a craft, I don't have a technique, but I committed in the best way I knew how.
Yeah.
And I did that when I was auditioning for the role for the theater play, and I got the lead. His name was Alan, and it was a interchangeable role. So the girl, if she were to get the role, would have been like Ellen, all of the, I don't know.
That's a big accomplishment then, like honestly, for a role like the lead to be open to males and females, because I feel like, and at least like the small town we come from, like there's a lot more women that are comfortable with theater and interested in theater than men. So to take a role that could go either way, like damn.
Between the whole drama
Like,
class,
damn.
I got
Like
the
it could have
lead.
been fucking anybody.
And I felt really proud of that. I did. And it was about a test. It was just this, I want to say it was one act. It might have been two. I don't remember. But I'm just sitting at a desk the whole time and I'm going through the stresses and anxieties of taking a test. And there's a lot going on, surprisingly. And it's supposed to be a comedy. And again, this is being shown in front of the entire student body, kind of like my short film was for the talent show. And when we were rehearsing and doing all these things and making sure everything worked right, we're like, this is gonna be funny, this is gonna be fun, and we're gonna have a good time. And this line right here is gonna get a good laugh. That one we're gonna hold because we know that's gonna get a really good laugh. We're just gonna have to just be ready to hold for the audience. Not a single laugh, chuckle, nothing. The whole play.
Hell yeah.
The whole, because we were so engrossed in it. We were so just consumed by doing this over and over and over again. We're like, this is it. This is my life. This is what we're going to be working on. It's going to be awesome at the end of the year or whenever we presented it. And then time to show everybody, the fruits of our labor. And here it is. The most unfunny thing any of the students ever thought to ever exist. And the only time I ever heard anyone, make any noise whatsoever was some kid, some character is constantly asking, like, how much time do we have left for the test? How much time? Like over and over and over again, like throughout the whole play. And eventually my character breaks, just snaps. He's like, shut up, whatever. You'll know when you'll know. I don't know what the line was, but I explode, right? I exude emotion.
Very much so. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And again, dead silence. But one person, I don't know who it was, but just went. That was it. That's all I heard. I was like, oh, that had to stay in character.
A successful comedy, y'all.
So it was like, okay, so first of all, whatever, it wasn't even funny to that person. They're laughing at me.
I was just saying.
They're not invested in this at all. They're just like, this is dumb. And that guy just, accentuated himself.
But I mean, so experience like that though, like, you learn from that. Like, and obviously it's not entirely your fault. Like it's a whole production.
And it's pre-written. I didn't write it,
Right.
I just brought my self
so you
to
were
the
just
character.
acting in this. Okay.
Yeah, it was something written a long time ago. Most plays, they're unoriginal, whatever. They're reimaginings or whatever, unless it's Shakespeare.
There's a cool playhouse here in Nashville. I can't remember what they're called right now, but they put on a really cool thing. It was called Dog Sees God, which is a parallelogram. You can flip that backwards, and it says the same thing. And
palindrome.
Yeah. And but it was about the Peanut Crew, Charlie Brown gang, as adults.
Okay.
And so the setting is like Snoopy just died, and it's like a really serious drama. It's not funny. But anyway, it is really rare to see something fresh brought to that stage, where it's usually reimaginings of older plays. But that one just came to mind as we have a cool playhouse here in Nashville. I wish I could remember what they're called right now, but
it'll be on the screen.
Right now. No, it's not.
I want to ask, because I want to plug. Have you ever been to or performed at the Lyric Theater in Tupelo?
I have been to, yes.
You've been to it, okay. It's a really cool place. Like, Alice, if we can, we'll take you there. We're going to Tupelo. The Lyric Theater has a lot of history. It was a movie theater years ago, but now it's a place where live theater is performed. And there was a tornado in the 1930s in Tupelo, Mississippi, that was really devastating. And a lot of people were severely injured and there was not enough space in the hospitals, and the Lyric was one of the places that survived, and so it was used as a makeshift hospital and even a makeshift morgue.
Mhm.
And there were bodies stored underneath the stage because that was the coolest place there. And because of that, it is said that the Lyric Theater is haunted. And there is one ghost in particular that is the most famous. I grew up performing in summer youth at the Lyric Theater, and his name was Antoine.
Antoine, that's it. Yeah.
You did theater?
I did theater. I
didn't
grew
know
up. I in Tupelo, Mississippi. I did summer youth for the Lyric Theater, and I did a Pied Piper Playhouse. I was in this very Walmart budget version of Cats called Cat Hymns. I was also in Cat Hymns Christmas. I was the squire in Treasure Island. I did a lot of
Holy
theater
shit.
growing up.
Oh,
Nice.
that's cool. I didn't know that. It's really cool. Part of me wishes I did, but at the same time, I never really wanted to do theater all that much. I just liked acting,
Yeah.
you know, but theater acting and film acting are
Yeah.
whole different
It
beasts.
really is. By the time I was aware enough to realize I was depressed and overwhelmed, I, for the most part, dropped out of it.
intense
Unfortunately, but
work.
I loved it. I
Mhm.
loved it. I really did.
And you love the people. Well, you hope to love the people that you
Love
work
to.
with for a long
Love
time,
to. I was a little
day in,
shit.
day
I
out.
was a little shit, but Lyric Theater, Ellis, big plug.
Yeah,
We're gonna go
haunted-
there.
they've,
The
haunted
the
houses.
school I went to didn't have a theater program because I was homeschooled.
Mm.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Well, the end of my story is, you know, that play essentially bombed, right?
Mhm.
I don't think it was because of the play, but after that, yeah, Setzler High School didn't have a drama class after that. Also, they didn't have a
Really?
talent shows weren't allowed to let students show films for a talent show anymore.
So you're just ruining it for everybody.
I guess so.
'Cause I was about to say I was supposed to be in a play at South Tulip High School. We did Beauty and the Beast, and I was supposed to be the mom, which for some reason or another was a really big part in that play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Beast like takes the mother
Oh.
before he gets Belle, and he's like, Belle,
Interesting.
I've got your mother. You
Yeah.
need to come here.
If it was Beauty and the Beast, like,
Budget production.
they did a lot. They did a lot of Disney plays before this one teacher took over. This one teacher is the one that directed the one that I was in, and then he didn't do it anymore. It wasn't because of the play. It was just because they didn't have a teacher to teach it. So they might have one now. I'm not up to date, but ever since when I graduated senior year and afterwards, I hadn't heard of them having a drama class afterwards.
It's not a well-funded school.
No,
Like
not
if,
really.
if you
Not
take
for the
in
arts.
Spanish too, like you're done. There's no more foreign language.
Do you think there is a point to all of this? Do you think it's?
To what?
Is there a point? I think so.
Do you think there's a point to the show?
Yeah.
Towards Jamaica.
I think there is a point. It's one of two, maybe more reasons. Because if you want to say this life, right? Yeah.
This podcast. No, I'm just
This
kidding.
podcast?
Is there a point to this?
There might be.
What we're doing?
That's debatable.
I forgot what. Anyway, no. Like, yeah. Let me actually ask it.
Okay.
So, like, I guess two parts. Do you think there's an objective meaning to life? And then secondly, on more of like a personal truth, what is your personal meaning for life?
Okay.
Mm.
The first one is yes, 100%. The whole, if you believe in evolution, the whole point of life is to live,
To
continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
To keep going and live on. And so as we evolve in whatever slow pace we might be evolving at, or rapidly, depending on
Life-
how you.
Life for the sake of life seems to be an absolute truth. in
100%.
nature. Yeah.
And I think, I don't know for sure, but maybe we're not meant to stay on Earth, you know?
Mhm.
We're only, there's like classifications of a civilization,
Yeah.
like their levels,
Mhm.
and we're not even level 1.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just actually watching the Japanese physicist, I can't remember his name, talk about this. But yeah, the different levels of
Yeah.
civilization.
Because we haven't garnered the entire like power of the Earth or something like that.
Mhm.
Like, we have hydro, we have electric, we have aero, whatever,
We're using fucking combustion engines still.
solar,
It's like, it's nuts.
yeah, nuclear, whatever. But we're not level 1 yet. And then after that, it's the solar system, harnessing the power of the sun, Dyson spheres or whatever, and then evolving after that into level 3, which is, I don't remember, but
like,
it goes
yeah.
far.
Mhm.
And we're not supposed to stay here. I don't think. We're supposed to move on and into the
To Mars.
cosmos, to wherever, and until this sun, it combusts, whatever, it swallows our solar system and it, dies, we'll be somewhere else by then. And there's a few things that I think could happen in order for that, whenever we reach that point, there's a few things that what we look
I
like.
suppose that's also assuming we reach that point, right?
If we do.
Do you think that's a likelihood?
If we even reach that point,
do you think
I'm
Before the sun
optimistic.
eats us.
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about that. Yes. I know we seem right now, of course, like it's so hard to look so far into the future.
Probably every generation's felt like it was
I'm
the
sure.
end of the world,
Yeah.
but I really feel like this is the end of the world, and that's probably not. That's probably everyone.
Probably.
Every
I mean,
time,
why
ever.
2K?
Every time. Yeah. We always think the end is
It's
coming.
like the Sumerians making flood stories
We
about
think we're so
how the
important.
night, like
It's gonna
they're
be us. It's gonna be when we're
Yeah.
alive, of course. No, I think it's gonna be way into the future. Until anything like that is even like, I'm not gonna say possible because it's possible now to a degree. But I think that there is a higher chance of us surviving whatever crisis we may be, dealing with right now, and then meeting a new crisis later on. And we keep going, we keep hurdling. And I think humanity has proven itself enough to claim that they can get over that.
I like your optimism.
I
You're-
have to be in a way. I know it sucks right now, and it has always sucked. But here we are.
That being said, obviously there are issues in the world, big issues. But if you look at technology, I mean, we have a degree of comfort that has never been, as far as we understand, ever been reached in human history.
And it's only
we have
going
a-
up.
We actually do have a lot to be grateful for, and I know that's kind of a controversial statement right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we do.
Sometimes it feels like we're
Well,
going backwards.
Yeah.
So here's
it
the
does, but
thing. Here's the thing.
5149 plug.
There's a lot of problems in the world. We also have it really good.
Mhm.
Both things can be true.
Yeah.
Neither of those things are in conflict with each other. Both things are true. We need to make things better, absolutely, constantly,
Right.
always, in optimize.
Yeah, it's like we
and-
said with art, you can't be complacent. Same
Yeah.
with life and
Right.
advancement.
so like, yes, I think.
But first of all, we're alive. Second of all, we're here with a roof over our head. We have
Debatably good.
companionship, right? Like, there's a lot to be grateful
Yeah.
for. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, to keep going with that first answer. When we're gone from this planet, whatever the case may be, we're gonna keep living. We're gonna keep evolving in one way or another. Transhumanism. We're gonna probably become androids or not androids, cyborgs or whatever.
Yo.
We're just gonna be like this cybernetic. Imagine 50, less than 50 years ago. Who would have thought to ever be able to communicate with someone across the planet
Mhm.
with a single phone call?
Yeah.
That's magic, man. And so just that alone, that's cool. And who knows 50 years from now, what kind of unimaginable thing we could be capable of.
We can't imagine it.
We can't.
Is
to a
it
degree.
cryogenics? Where they freeze you and you can,
They've done
You
that a
got
lot. And so far it doesn't seem possible.
but you never
But
know.
you never know. It could be at some point.
But-
Once they perfect that technology.
I think it's much more likely to just, that's going to be an outdated thing because we just upload your brain to,
Boom. Yeah.
and then put you in a
Dollhouse.
clone of yourself.
Amazing show. You should watch it. I
Yes.
think you'd like it.
What
You've
is it?
seen it?
Dollhouse.
Yeah, with Eliza Dushku.
I've seen Russian Doll. I haven't seen
No,
Dollhouse.
Dollhouse. We're not going to get into it. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Alex. We'll talk after.
Okay.
So there was a part 2 to that question.
What's
You
my
talked about
meaning?
the meaning of life, but what's the meaning to your life?
Yeah. What drives you? What makes you tick? Which we already talked about it a little bit.
Tick, tick,
I
tick, boom.
have goals.
Yeah.
I have accolades, I have aspirations and dreams.
Yeah.
And I want to achieve these things before I become complacent.
When
Like
love
the
doesn't exist, that's all you
destabilization
got.
of the government.
Right.
For
Whenever that
example.
comes around and I feel happy about that.
that's a bucket list.
I feel content.
Yeah.
Then I can go from there.
Right.
No, I think I have these things I want to do, and I think I can do them eventually. And I will do them. And then when I do that, I want to be a teacher, and
Okay.
I want to
That's awesome,
the
man.
youth.
Man, that's probably the most noble thing someone can do with their life. It's the most important, most underrated job there is.
Mhm.
Yeah, like without. So, quick tangent. On that, I don't know how literally or figuratively I mean this, but I worship Prometheus.
Okay.
And at least in concept, you're familiar with the Greek god Prometheus? He brings man fire.
Yeah.
and teaches them how to make it. And I've heard a really good argument that the thing that separates us from other animals isn't sentience. That's one thing, sure, maybe.
Mhm.
But then you have dolphins that are octopi, things that
Yeah,
arguably
it's fucking sick.
dogs that arguably have a degree of sapience the way we do. Self. You should put a dog in front of a mirror, it recognizes itself. Maybe not at first, but depending on how smart the dog is.
Right, yeah.
The thing that really separates us is we've utilized fire, and that's an explanation for all of this, for how electricity is, you could extend that and say harnessing electricity is an extension of harnessing fire, right?
Mhm.
So what in philosophy, what I worship is the mentorship, apprentice, the concept of handing down information.
Mhm.
I worship the acquisition and distribution of information. I think all information should. I'm not so socialist in all of my views, but when it comes to information, I think all information should be free and equal for everyone.
It's not about legacy. It's not about fame. It's about making sure everything passed down
Yeah.
retains and stays.
So there's also parameters to this, right? Like, I don't think everyone's social security number should be public domain.
Right. There's caveats.
Yeah. So like privacy is important still, but beyond like privacy, like how the universe works, right? Everyone should have access to that information. Everyone should have access to the most up-to-date science on every subject. That way we can all help each other build an understanding of the world. And that's at the core of my philosophy and like where I'm at, how I look at things.
Yeah. I like that idea of.
So I think it's really cool you want to be a teacher.
I think so too. I think it's very important. I guess what I was about to say was actually kind of irrelevant, but it was kind of building on the idea of just Prometheus, but it's not about this. It's not the same subject. But like, it's kind of going back to that first answer to the other question.
Yeah.
It's like, if we aren't androids, we're passing down this information to AI. And that is what's going. We are the predecessor. We are the Prometheus,
yeah,
of the
Holy
next
shit.
Life form.
Yeah,
100%.
And like, we either hop on board and ride with that, like integrate transhumanism, merging cyborgs, but we either do that or we get left behind and go extinct.
Right. Yeah. But hey, life keeps going.
Yeah, and I don't think humans are obsolete. Have you guys seen this AI art stuff? It's pretty fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But you know what? Those computers are looking at human art to build that.
Just reference.
There's a human component to art that is necessary. I don't think when it comes to art and beauty, I think we're always going to be essential to that process. Even when AI get to the point where they are sentient and are, what's interesting is we would call them human-esque.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my point, is there's still such a huge human component to, they're going to be in our image, in God's image.
Yeah, exactly. It's very fascinating. Very fascinating stuff.
Makes you wonder what we are. You seen 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Parts, pieces, yeah.
So like the intro, the very first thing that happens, like there's a war between these two tribes of chimps.
Yeah.
And then the monolith. The monolith is Kubrick isn't saying that a monolith appeared and then a monkey touched it and then decided to pick up a bone, the first simple tool. Yeah. He's not saying that's what happened. He's saying the monolith represents a mystery. It's like, it's the most ominous like pillar, right? And it's a concept of something happened. He's saying something, he's implying a missing link. So there's a question in here. I'm getting there. Okay. There's he's implying a missing link. So I've also heard an argument for a gradient, of sapience, where it's like, to me, it feels like there's a huge gap between chimps and humans. How did we get there? Right?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about this?
I actually had a conversation about this recently, and no, it didn't come about with any answers. I have thoughts. Yeah, I guess it's just where the hell, if chimps are still here
Mhm.
and we evolved from them, and Neanderthals, we have the bones or whatever, the drawings in the caves and all that. We have these references to them. We have these fossils and archaeological recordings of their at least being there was an existence of some point between the evolutionary step. Why are chimps still here, but they aren't still here?
Right.
In anything that's ever evolved. Why are chickens the way they are and not the dinosaurs?
There seems to be something that separates us from animals.
100%. No, I mean, I feel like it's irrefutable. Nothing can do what we do.
It comes back to
Literally.
fire. Yeah, the hardest thing. So like the fire thing's weird because you have to have the sapience and the thinking to do that, but you also have to have thumbs.
Yeah.
Which is like there's two components to that. So
that's really
I'm not exactly sure that fire is the thing. Like maybe sapience is a better answer. But then we have things like dolphins, and it's like what the fuck's going on with dogs? And
You've got
octopi?
pigs that play video games. You've got chickens that play music. Like really, the only thing is that we are out here, dominating the world. I feel like
With
that's
fire.
the only difference.
With
We-
guns.
I guess that's what.
with
Yeah.
Construction,
Fire stick,
like
broomstick.
with technology. That's really the only difference that I see. I think it's totally possible that animals, are sapient beings, that they're capable of
Interesting.
things, but they're just not the only ones that are taking over the world for better and for worse. They're not the cause of deforestation, they're not the cause of advancement. But we have no way to know of whether or not they're just as intelligent as us, that they, like whether or not animals have souls. We don't know. We can't measure that. We don't
even
know
know if we
that
have
we do.
souls.
Exactly.
Yeah. We can't even decide if a robot's alive. Like what is alive?
What is alive?
I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Artificial
Both of
intelligence,
you.
Haley Joel Osment, like, oh, cry, like childhood crush.
I have, if both of y'all could answer these. It's two-parter.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Who's hosting this?
I'm sorry,
podcast?
I'm
just
sorry.
kidding.
This is I like this change of
This
pace.
is
It's
different.
relevant. It's
This is
relevant.
different.
I just want to see how y'all respond. So, if there was a robot, right? It's 100% a robot. It's artificially created, and it had the mind, it had the mannerisms, like it looked human, right? But we understand, like on a foundational level, it was created by man, not through an organic birth. It was, machine made, and it had the thoughts, processes, mannerisms, idiosyncrasies, all of that indistinguishable of a human. Like you could talk to it and it said hello and it had a conversation just like we're having now.
It built memories.
100%.
It
It's
learned as it went along.
indistinguishable. That's
Like,
basically what
yeah.
I'm saying. Do you consider that alive?
I don't know.
Who's going first?
I feel like it's a cop-out answer, but I don't know. Do you have a better answer?
It's just whether you say yes or no has to do with how I asked the second part.
For me, it's not a matter of do I consider it alive, but do I empathize for it and do I feel for it? Like I used to play Neopets growing up, and like these are pixels that aren't intelligent artificially or otherwise, but like they had this place called the Pound, and I would see animals that were like underfed and like they were named like butt face and stuff like that, and I felt like so sad in my soul. I was like, why would you do this? And people are like, it's pixels, and I was like,
Yeah,
it's so unkind.
I mean that's a testament to how humans empathize with anything, and you could use that argument with like, does any animal have, is alive?
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
people that have differing opinions about that.
Yeah, so I'm not
Yes.
trying to be at all dismissive of the question. I don't know. I don't know what life is.
Yeah,
For
that's
the-
what I'm saying. Any clarification? Can I say if it's alive? I don't know.
I
Can
don't
I
know-
say if
I don't
I'm
know the
able to
definition of
empathize
life.
with it? Yes, I probably could. I would
The-
empathize with it. I would feel pity and sorrow on behalf of it.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's valid. But like, I mean, it lives, it breathes, it bleeds. The mechanisms are almost
So then-
identical
so,
to
okay,
organs.
Like just because something's
Sorry.
not alive, how dare we be so masochistic and so self-important
Yeah.
to create something that does experience things and does have that
Right.
intelligence only
And
to
it
hurt
learns.
it.
So Ryan, you're
Yeah.
saying this thing is it's synthetic, but it's organic. It has blood. It has a body.
It has fluid that keeps it running.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I guess yeah, that's not too
It has a
relevant.
mind.
So
There's a Korean drama for this. Hollow Love. Look it up.
so the major separation is we're aware that this is made by humans. And that's
Yeah,
really
that's
the
it.
only
That's
difference.
it. Literally, yeah.
Yes, that's alive.
Okay.
I just want to
Thank
be
you
like,
for
if we
picking a
draw
side.
the
I'm
line
sorry,
there, then how do we have
I think
empathy for anybody?
You did explain that. You explained it better than I realized. But yeah, I guess I misunderstood the question, I guess.
I'm sorry. So let's just say, for the sake of the second part of the question, we say yes, just for the sake of it.
Yes to what?
Is it alive?
Okay,
Yes.
it is. Okay.
So second part is it has an off switch,
Mhm.
but you can turn it back on at any point. But if you left it off, is it dead?
No, it's sleeping because you could turn it back on.
But what if you never turned it back
So
on?
that's the problem.
Ever.
That's the problem. We don't know what life
I mean,
is.
you
I think-
it will outlive you. So who are you to say it's never going to be turned on again? Somebody could find it later after you've
True.
passed and turn it back on.
True.
I say it's sleeping.
Always
It's in a
So-
coma.
Yeah.
Right, let me ask you
I got
this.
that answer.
Are we operating
All
under the
right,
assumption
fine,
that we're
basic.
alive? That humans are alive?
I think so.
Okay, so in this hypothetical, we are operating under the assumption that a human is alive. I think it is alive in that same way. So yes, it is dead when you have the off switch.
But you can turn it back on, and a human cannot be brought back after they're dead.
Sure, you
other
can.
than-
You can go into anesthesia and come back.
Yeah, sure. In a brief moment, he's talking about it being left off forever. That implies that there is a large period of time between it being shut off and turned back on
So-
again. And I don't think there's any recorded case
So
of
I
that
don't-
happening. With
I
a
don't know
human.
what life is, so I can't definitively say. But what I think is going on is your consciousness is you can tune your. I think this because of DMT, I guess I should say, through my DMT experiences.
Mhm.
But I think your consciousness is something that can be tuned into different frequencies, like a radio. So like you're a radio receiver. You're receiving and you can tune yourself through pharmakia, through meditation. You can tune yourself to different frequencies.
Yeah.
This is the frequency that humans are generally locked into. So back to the AI thing. When a person dies, I think that signal just no longer goes to this receiver, the body, calling the body the receiver. So
Okay.
the signal is now tuned into a different
Yeah.
frequency.
Okay.
So if that's what life is, a body tuned into a frequency, when that is off, when you flip the off switch, absolutely that's dead. Now it is it's brought back to life when you turn the switch back on.
Okay. Yeah. So either it's dead or it's in a coma.
I guess it's dead, but it's
Right.
easier for robots to come back to life than it is for people.
Yeah. And I think, you know what? That's evolution.
That's not dead. If it comes back to life, it wasn't dead.
Well, again, I don't know. This is my theory.
But
on
like
it.
we're the precursors. We're creating this being at some point in our whatever our timeline.
Mm.
We're gonna create this, and then we're gonna die out, and that thing, whatever it is, that can
Yeah.
just be turned back on, rebuilt, whatever. That's our baby. That's
Because
our,
there's like a measurable period of time that your brain can have activity past losing oxygen and blood flow. And I feel like that's not the case with robots, so I wouldn't consider that death. Because
So you wouldn't
there is a
consider it
limit
alive
to it.
either then.
Would you not? I mean, if you're
Well, you're
considering
saying-
it alive in the first place, are coma patients not
Here's-
alive?
here-
I feel like it's a coma. It's
No,
not
here's the-
death. If
here's the
there's
fallacy.
possibility to come back past, like 15 seconds or whatever it is.
Here's the fallacy I'm saying is you're saying it is not dead because it didn't stop breathing. It didn't stop eating because it didn't do that to begin with.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm saying because
My bad.
you're saying humans can quote unquote die and be brought back to life, but there is a very short period of time where you're able to bring somebody
Before brain
back
death.
before
Yeah.
brain death, before that you cannot bring them back again.
Okay,
We will never revive a corpse. Maybe you will. You
I'm
like I
sorry.
said, bad juju.
Bad juju.
But like the thing is
I'm-
that you could
I'm not
go
saying that you can
infinite
reincarnate people
amounts of
or
time with a robot,
resurrect
and you
people.
could turn it back on again. I don't consider that death. I don't think death is something that you can come back from after
Death is
years
permanent.
and years. It's permanent. It needs to either be brief, you flatlined and you were revived, or either you were in a coma, you were a vegetable, so to state. And like coma patients aren't dead, but I guess it would be a fair argument that they aren't alive. But I feel like if a robot can be turned on again, then it's not dead. It's in a coma if it is alive in the first place. To be in line with those arguments.
This is deep philosophical conversation we're having. You're
wrong and I'm right.
Okay. We can leave it there. That's fine.
That's the nature of the podcast.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
You just broke up a family. Just kidding. We do this all the time.
I get what you're saying. Like, we don't know though. There's no way to know.
I sure as hell don't know. I just like asking the questions.
Yeah.
And what's the next question? Like, damn.
Sorry.
We're not used to this kind of attention.
I actually remembered why I brought up synthetic Phoenix earlier.
Yes.
Oh fuck! Why did I bring it up?
Because
I
it's
forgot
good.
again.
Because it's meta as fuck and it's like existential.
It's a good time.
Because does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? We don't know.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Probably
The chicken.
No, probably the egg,
Both.
actually, because like dinosaurs lay eggs too, and chickens are clearly descendants of dinosaurs. So one day
So
a
the egg
dinosaur
came
laid an
first.
egg, and the egg hatched, and it was like, what the fuck is this atrocity? Yeah, exactly. Probably the fucking egg. If I had to take a stance, I finally figured it out.
There
That's
it
my
is.
stance.
Oh my god.
I think the egg came first, and you
cracked the code.
All
Wow. All right. We're making answers.
All right. How much time do we have?
We're getting there. Fuck! God damn it! I brought this up twice and then forgot why
I'm sorry,
I
it's
brought
my
it up.
fault. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
We've done you wrong. All of Rhetoric Rabbit Hole apologizes to you.
Alice apologizes.
Exactly.
to
She's
you.
very sorry. And she's never sorry.
I accept it.
What's your favorite thing to photograph? Okay, fair enough.
I like seeing people in all kinds of states. And it could be like mostly candid. I like candid a lot, but I like poses as well.
Candid is
like unaware that you're being photographed or being photographed, or at least it's
of the appearance.
Yeah, it's perceived that way.
Do you feel like candid applies to live music photography, since you did some of that last night? Although like people are aware they're being photographed, but they're not posing. They're in another moment. Is that candid or is that not candid?
Well, to a degree, I think it depends on the performer. There are performers out there.
I feel you.
When
If
the
you
camera
play to
is
the
there,
camera, they're like, oh, I see
They'll play
you.
to the camera. Yeah.
Which is smart.
And I like that. I want you to play to the camera.
Yeah.
I like candid. But if you're in the middle of a performance and you're playing to the camera, I think you're just accentuating like this emotion that I'm looking for, essentially. And so whether or not it's fabricated, it's still, there's a modicum of genuine feelings and emotions and whatever going on. And I appreciate it. Whatever's attractive, whatever is captivating to an eye, anyone's eye, that's all I care about. And I have my own preferences. I have a aesthetic preference, and I try to my photography to replicate that preference. And whether or not it's just through photography or I edit it, like I said, I like candid, but I'm going to edit that photo. I'm going to make it. I'm going to shape it, manipulate it into what fits my.
Do you do digital or obviously you do digital.
It's all digital. Yeah, I don't shoot with film. I want to. I like I like that aesthetic as well. I think digital manipulation can replicate that to a degree, but there is something very tangible.
I know
with film.
I know a couple of strictly analog photographers, and it like no offense, but it's really like hipstery to me. It's like, why, like you said, a lot of it can be replicated. It just, I don't know. It's just like it's like a record player. Yeah, that like yeah, vinyl does sound better. I agree.
Yeah.
But I
But you
mean,
can't bring a vinyl with you,
Yeah.
and play the ear pods, on the car in the car
Right.
or whatever. It's not doesn't work that way. There's pros and cons to everything. It doesn't really matter. Art is art, and like I said, we all have our preferences. Someone
Yeah.
could disagree with the vinyl analogy. Someone could disagree with film photography being better or worse than anything. It doesn't really matter. I have my preferences, and then whatever I try to do, I'm going to cater to those preferences.
Right.
I have a style. Whether or not that my vision and what I create mesh, don't know. I'm trying to better myself at that whenever I get an opportunity to. That's really all I got.
Well, Ryan, this has been a great time. I'm just gonna leave you with one more like statement / question.
Okay.
So this is, we talked about like everyone ever has felt like it's the end of the world, right? But objectively, this is a very pivotal time in history we're at. We're at the beginning of this technological boom. Cars have not existed for just a blip in human history. We've just barely harnessed electricity. Internet is even more recent, right? It's like it may not feel those things may not feel new to us because maybe we take them for granted.
You're born into it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but very, very new.
Cell phones.
It's a scary but fascinating time to be here with you, with you guys. Glad I'm here sharing it with you guys. I guess so. The question in here is, what is your biggest fear?
The question I refuse to answer.
She's paranoid that people are like gonna exploit her fears.
That's
now.
ammunition.
It's like, yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I've always been scared of isolation, like
yeah,
indefinite isolation. I don't think I would ever be comfortable. Then again, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if I'd ever be comfortable with living alone, indefinitely. I always need someone to be around at some point. I mean, I live with 4 people and yet, or 3 people, and I am always in my room for the most part, working on things. I'm always working on something. Maybe that's a big fear, to not ever have the motivation to work on anything ever again. I don't know. I don't think about it too often of like what I'm always trying to run away from and being scared of.
yeah.
That's a tough question.
I was wrong. I do have another question. So
Okay.
we talked about extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Do you think there is interdimensional life that has interacted with humanity?
I thought about it.
We kind of had a conversation about this today, right?
Think
About the
so.
planes.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I used to think, and I might still think this, I don't know, it's another theory of mine. The whole like 2-dimensional beings, the flatland parable. I think Carl Sagan talks about.
Yeah, with a piece of paper, rocks.
If a 3-dimensional entity
yes.
was to interact with it, that 2-dimensional thing could only perceive that
In a
3-dimensional
2D way.
in a 2D way. Same for us. If a 4-dimensional entity were to interact with us, we can only see it in a 3-dimensional way.
Yeah.
No, there's literally no other way for us to perceive things other than 3 dimensions. So I'm not saying like a 4th dimensional being will show up and it's just some dude and just fades away. I don't know what that would look like, but maybe that's what ghosts are. Maybe that's what phenomena is, that only these people are able to, say I saw something, whatever it is. Maybe that's a 4th dimensional being just kind of coming and going, passing through our 3-dimensional perception. I don't know. If there is interdimensional or transdimensional, I guess is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I always liked the idea of multiverse theory as well. I like that stuff a lot. Quantum immortality, all that stuff. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Am I living in the universe where I'm always alive? Am I living in the universe where whatever, and there's another version of me somewhere else that's been dead for 26 years? I don't know. is there a connection between the two? Can I interact with another dimension? Probably not. But with the idea of quantum immortality, my consciousness is leaping from one universe to the next where it is always alive.
Yeah.
And so
That's a very fascinating thing. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting.
So if you believe in that, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There is interdimensional travel,
Right.
and it's all subjective. So I'm only seeing this in my view.
I think there's something to be said about reality is what you make it, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to be a pessimist, you're going to be in hell. If you
Mhm.
want to be an optimist, you'll be in heaven.
Mhm.
It's like the life is what you make of it. Like if you're always looking at it through this Instagram filter of negative, then you're going to see everything as negative. The world, your reality will literally be negative. There's something about a correlation between conscious manifestation and reality.
Mhm.
There is some kind of crossover.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean,
Yeah.
social psychology says we see what we expect to see and we don't see what we don't expect
So we
to see.
could-
It's not that we see reality, we see our expectations.
So we could also say, like, when you are bettering yourself and your situation, you're skipping into a better reality. You're hopping into a world that is better than what you were previously in.
Every decision is making a tangent,
Yeah.
and you're jumping into the tangent of where you're making a better or
And-
worse decision.
And on this multiverse thing, like it is a very grandiose concept, but what I think is interesting, like to me, that seems more likely than finite. Because what we observe about the universe, from what we can tell, is infinite. So if what we're observing is that it's infinite, why would we not assume that everything is infinite? Until proven that something's finite.
Mhm.
Like we don't even understand like how far in you can go
The quantum
in. Yeah, exactly.
dynamics and all that.
Like infinite scale inward, infinite scale outward. Like, so to me, it's a no-brainer that there's multiverse. It's like, of course, why wouldn't there be? I mean, again, who knows, right?
Who knows? And who
Yeah.
cares to a degree at the same time, like maybe at some point we advance and we could do something with that. I feel like that's so far away. So I guess someone should care at some point. But
Yeah.
like right now, there's no way that we could interact, at least noticeably, consciously interact
With the interdimensional.
yeah.
Um.
In that scale, if we're talking about infinity,
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, I guess there's an infinite amount of possibilities.
There
at that
is.
point. So actually, infinity is crazy because that
It's imperceivable just as much as zero.
right. But it like so like getting into quantum like super states like Schrodinger's cat, right?
Yeah.
It's like that means that infinity really means that both something is true and false at the same time, right? It means when you until you actualize the super state, Schrodinger's cat is alive and dead at the same time.
I
Ryan,
agree.
thank you again so
Hey.
much for coming on, dude.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, both of you. This was a lot of fun.
Alice, please go check out Ryan's photography, music, films, all of his many endeavors.
His upcoming novel.
Upcoming novel, yes.
It's probably a few years from now.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You said you were gonna have a draft.
Well, you heard it here
of the year and
first.
put
I'll
you on
have a
the spot.
draft. I'll have a draft maybe, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I'll read it.
This has
you.
been a blast. Yeah. Thanks again, man.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye, Alice.